Hello friends, this is Catherine Marie and you're listening to episode 14 of season 2 of Long COVID Real Talk. I have not recorded in 2 to 3 weeks, although before I knew this was going to happen, so I made sure that there were enough episodes to carry me through until now, because we just moved and we just finished cleaning out our old apartment. And it's just been a lot. I've just been very tired, but yet I've had extra dopamine and excitement because of having all the visitors. And now we're kind of getting back to our regular pace of life, and I'm slowly starting to try to work on different aspects of the new home. I'm very excited about being able to do things to the new home to make it even more awesome. And I'm also acutely aware of how I do not have the money that I wish I had to do all the things I would like to do to the new home. So I'm trying to just pick a couple of things that are the most important and just do those. Excuse me. I had told my husband that we would have things triaged. So things that are a health hazard are going to get priority, and then things that affect the efficiency of the house are going to have the second priority, and then the third priority is anything cosmetic. And today I finally met with the landscaper, and I'm very excited about just pulling up a couple of old bushes that I don't like and putting in some of the fruit trees. I have dwarf fruit trees from our old apartment balcony, and I'm really excited to get them in the ground. And I've never had any of this before, so I'm kind of excited to be able to have a garden and, make it really like a real home, But that's not what I wanted to talk about today. What I wanted to talk about today was my favorite pastime in the last 7 months has been woobling. WOOBLING. And I am probably guessing you have not heard of that. So let me explain. Woobles is a company that was created in the last few years by someone who used to work for Google and used to focus, her entire job was on the user experience using Google. So what she did was she was really stressed at her job and would crochet, and she was learning how to crochet animals, and I'm going to butcher the name if I try to say it, so I'm not going to try to say it, but there is a type of art, Japanese art, where you make animals and you crochet them, and that is basically what it is. And the thing that is really interesting about this company to me is that they really have focused on the user experience or the client experience, because the bags that these kits come in are very attractive. They have inside everything that you will need, all the yarn, everything. The only thing they don't have are scissors, because they assume that everyone has a pair of scissors. But if you don't, there is a kit that you can buy that includes scissors. But it's really fun. Each little kit comes with a card that is that has a passcode or a password that you log into Woobles/start, and then you find which kit you're going to do. and then you put in the password, and then a video, step by step, these videos walk you through how to do the entire Wooble. And even if it's your first time, because you're watching a video of them showing you what to do for every single thing, and they do it really, really carefully so that you definitely will succeed. I don't usually have a lot of focus, and I get bored with things really easily, and I've never been into things like sewing or whatever. Although I have to say, when I was in medical school, I really got into knitting for a while. But that was when I was in class. I would knit while I was in class. So I'm not in school anymore. And I just tried. I've been seeing ads for the Woobles. This was probably in October, November. And I was talking to my sister-in-law one day, and she said, is there anything that I can do to help you with the long COVID stuff, Because I was telling her, this was right around the time that I stopped working, that I was unable to work anymore. And I felt so stressed about that, and so ashamed, and so much inner turmoil, just not being able to fathom what was happening in my life. And she said, is there anything she could do to help? And I said, yeah, get me a Wooble kit. And she was asking me about Christmas presents. And so I was saying it for that. But I said, but I don't even have to wait for, I would just totally love to try to do a Wooble. So she sent me a Wooble kit of Pierre the Penguin, and they have little names like that. And Pierre the Penguin is one of the beginner kits, and almost all of the kits are actually beginner kits. But they've started to make some intermediate kits or beginner plus kits. So that there's beginner plus, and intermediate now, because they've been around enough that people like myself have gotten really into them. And so they've had to do different things to kind of help us to stay, I'm blanking on the word, but just interested, challenged, something like that. So I made Pierre the Penguin. It was very sad looking. I may take a picture of it and make it the episode picture, because I have to figure out where I put it. But I made it into a cat toy for my cat, because I was just like, oh, this is not that good. And I was afraid to use the little eyes, the cute little eyes, because they say they're safety eyes, but they say you're not supposed to use them if you're going to be giving the animal to a pet or a small child, because the eyes, if they aren't put in correctly, they can pop off. So I had sewn with black yarn the eyes, and the eyes just looked very big and strange. And the stomach that was supposed to be a white patch in the stomach, I put it too far down, so it almost looked like they were where pants should be or something, or that he was sitting on the, I don't know. It was kind of a funny first attempt, and I was kind of, not sure, but then I bought a few other kits for my sisters, because I have several sisters, and they all were interested in trying it. And all three of my sisters are much better at stuff like this than I am. I'm usually the one that was more the tomboy, and I would do things like mow the lawn or clean the kitchen or whatever. And I was not the one that would be making clothes, or I don't know. I've never even been good at dressing. They could go to the thrift store and come out with these great outfits, and I just would have no idea how they did that. And they're also just very good at everything. One of my sisters actually was paid as a seamstress for a while when she lived in New York. So yeah, I'm definitely the least, I don't know what the right word is, but I am the least that way of all of my sisters, and yet here I am really excited about these Woobles. So I watched my sister make a Wooble, the one who has long COVID like me, and I was blown away by how good she did for her first one. I think I gave away her Wooble, but I think it was really good, and I should have taken a picture of my first Wooble and her first Wooble because they looked so comically different from one another. But anyway, suffice to say, even though I had a little bit of a rocky start, I love making Woobles. And I think the thing I like about them is that you can have them done in maybe 3 hours. And one of my sisters was saying, well, why do you like this? Because, you know, you're done after 3 hours, and they like a longer project. But I like the shorter projects because I get distracted and I'm more likely to not finish them if they're too long. So I love Woobles. I've bought so many Wooble kits. I've bought Wooble kits for friends, family. I have learned how to make Woobles and then bought my own yarn and made the Woobles again. I've bought my own little safety eyes. I've found places to buy all the things that are in a Woobles kit so that when I buy a kit and I have the password, I can then make that animal however many times I want. And I have also started to look for patterns on Etsy or other places that you can buy of other animals that Woobles do not have in their kits yet. So I've now at this point made Woobles for, I believe, every niece and nephew I have, every godchild, every, I think my kids, every friend that I have that has a kid, I believe I've made their kids Woobles. And I've started making Woobles for all of my daughter's friends. And I made one for all of my daughter's teachers. And it's gotten a little out of hand, but I really, really like them. And my husband was at the beginning because I was going through a rough time around Christmas in January, and that was when I was getting the extra mental health help because I was so depressed about not being able to work. And I was just doing Woobles nonstop because it's the only way that my brain could relax and focus on something else that was not the fact that I couldn't work. And it's very low energy. Once you know how to do the stitch, it's mostly the same stitch, very few variations to it. So it's just having to count and looking at the pattern. And it's not, the days where I'm not able to think clearly at all and I totally screw up what I'm doing. It's okay. It's not a med error. If I was working, it's nothing, no one's hurt. And I just undo the rows that I did that are all messed up, and then I try again, So Woobling has been really, really helpful for me. I have bought so many kits for friends as well. I think that's probably been one of the largest expenditures that I've had over the last several months of frivolous things that I don't actually need, but it's just so fun. And they have beautiful yarn that is rainbow or pastel, or they have this one that's called Gertrude the Llama. It's an intermediate one, but it's just so fluffy, and they teach you how to do, I think it's called I can't remember the name of the stitch, but it's like a puff stitch or ball stitch or something like that. And it's just a really fluffy looking llama, and it's really cute. And they all have cute little faces. And so I I don't really have a point for this episode other than telling you that I really got into Woobles. But I think that it's cool to tell you about it because if I was still working, there's no way I would be doing Woobles. I've only been doing them since I stopped working. They help tremendously with anxiety. They help with my focus. I truly feel that when my brain is having brain fog and I'm really, really struggling to think straight, I feel like when I'm crocheting these little animals that it's helping my brain. It really feels like it helps my brain. And then I found this group on Facebook called Random Acts of Crochet Kindness. It's like RORK or whatever with the abbreviation. But they have a little QR code. If you look in the files on their Facebook page, they have QR codes with little, like you can print out a sheet with 10 of these little slips of paper with a QR code on it. And it'll say something like, "I'm not lost, I'm just alone. If I made you smile, please take me home," or something like that. And you can put them in a little bag. And so I bought little bags. I bought little stickers that said handmade with love. And I, put that on the bag. And I love just leaving Woobles places because it's like a random act of kindness. And then someone can find it. And if they use the QR code on the little slip that's in the bag, then they can say where they found the crochet animal or whatever. Now, Random Acts of Crochet Kindness is not Wooble specific. I love Woobles and I do Woobles, but there are all sorts of crochet things that people make and leave different places. So it's not unique to Woobles. So I think that's everything that I wanted to tell you about Woobles, but I wanted to just mention it because if I had not had the idea to try something new, I wouldn't have found something that is a really great new experience for my brain. And my brain has been going through a lot the last several months, as I'm sure yours has as well. And it just seems like it's helping my brain to make those neurological connections or something. And it just seems like it's helping. So if you know me in real life, send me Wooble kits. I will never turn one down. And I love making them. And if I would be happy to make you a Wooble and send it to you because at some point I'm going to run out of people to make Woobles for. So feel free to email me or something if you want a Wooble, and I will, I will work on getting those done. It's good to have something to do, So I think that's everything for today. If you like this podcast, please subscribe and or write a review, because I'm realizing that this is how people are able to find the podcast, is from other people saying that it's a good podcast. You could also share it inside of your Facebook groups or on Instagram or whatever you're on in social media. I did make an Instagram for this podcast, but I haven't been really active on it. I should do that. But I do have a Facebook group for it. The link is in the description of each episode. And there's also a phone number that you can text or call if you'd like. And it's a Google Voice, so it'll leave me the voice message will be transcribed for me so I can see it. But thank you for listening, and it's good to be back. And hang in there, and we'll talk again soon. Okay? Take care. Bye-bye. Hello, this is Catherine Marie again. I just wanted to let you know that I was able to find the very first Wooble I ever made. And then I also made a new Wooble of Pierre the Penguin. So that way you can see what it's supposed to look like. So the original Wooble that I first made is on the left, and the one I just made recently is on the right. Okay? All right. Have a good one. Bye-bye.